Welcome to Deekshaa Academy. So, in today's class, we'll be studying crop production and management, which is 8th standard, chapter 1. We'll be studying today about crop production and its management. So, coming to the first part of it, let us know what is crop. What is crop? Crop is nothing but production of one particular plant or one particular crop in a very large quantity or in a very large scale in a very large area is known as crop. So this is the very basic thing which you should know what is the crop. So coming to the next, for example, we have different kind of crops grown in a different places, right? For example, in Kashmir, the apples are grown more, right? In Karnataka, the rice or the ragi or the sugarcane is grown more. So the diversity of the crops and different places are very different. For example, now we cannot grow rice or ragi in Kashmir. Same, the apples are not grown very well in Karnataka because the plants has a particular climate which it should have, that is the cold region and not Karnataka, right? So we have diversity of the pattern or the climate for the different crop production in different places or to a very different climate. So if we see this diversity of crops or diversity of the climate, what we see, again the crops are divided into two types, which is kharif crop as well as rabi crop. Then what is kharif crop? Kharif crop is nothing but the crops which is grown in rainy season is known as kharif crop. So what are the examples of kharif crop? The paddy, maize, soya bean are some of the examples of kharif crop. The question might be asked, paddy, is it a kharif crop? Or what are the examples in below which is not a kharif crop? The question might be asked like this. So the other one was rabi crop. What is rabi crop? The rabi crop is nothing but production of a crop in winter season. The crops which are grown in winter season, we call it as rabi crop. Then what are the examples of rabi crop? Rabi crop examples are wheat, gram, pea, mustard. These are the example of rabi crop. In the other time, which is, so kharif crop is usually grown in the month of June to September. Kharif crop is usually grown in the month of June to September. At the same time, rabi crop is grown from October to March. From March to June, it is summer, we know. So at that particular time, these pulses, vegetables and some of the other basic crops are grown at that point, which is summer. What is the month? March to June. Okay, so this is the two division or two kinds of crops which is divided, which is kharif as well as rabi crop. So coming to the next topic. For doing agriculture or for the production of crops very well, or why does the farmer grow the crops? He should get the very good production. Now we are seeing many farmers are are getting suicide, or they are getting suicide because of not very well production of crops, or they are not getting a very good amount for their crops, or this climate changes what is happening. So that is indirectly affecting the farmer. So these are some of the agricultural practices which might add on or which might give a very good production of crops. So what are the practices? We'll see. Preparation of the soil, sowing, adding manure or the fertilizers, irrigation, production of weeds, harvesting and storage. These are the methods or the practices a farmer should include in his agriculturing practices so that he can get a very good production of crops, right? So coming to the next thing, we'll see what are the practices in detail. First, we've seen preparation of the soil. When it comes to preparation of the soil, what is preparation of the soil? How to prepare the soil? That is the main question, right? So, preparing the soil is nothing but for a plant to grow. Whether should the soil be tightened up or loosened up? These are the questions which occurs, right? So, here the preparation of the soil is the first. It is a very important step for a very good production of crops. So, one of the most important tasks of the agriculture which turns the soil and loosen it up. So here they are telling that loosening up of the soil is very important for agriculture, and it is the first and foremost step which has to be included in the practice. So the loosened soil allows the root to breathe easily even when go deep into the soil. So the root, we know it goes deep inside the soil, right? Even though it goes deep inside the soil, the root has to breathe, or else the plant will die, obviously. This is the reason why we have to loosen up the soil. So coming to the next slide, how do we loosen up the soil? What are the methods? Our ancestors or ancient times, what are the steps which were included to loosening up the soil? We'll see. Plug. This has been used since ancient times. So this was used in ancient times by our ancestors for loosening up the soil, for tilling soil, adding the fertilizers to the crop, removing the weeds. So this plug was used as to loosen up the soil, to add the fertilizers to the plants, as well as to remove the weeds. Weeds is nothing but the unwanted crop which is grown surrounded by the main crop which has to be produced. We know that. So this is made of wood. This is made of a wood drawn by the pair of bulls and tied. So this is the wooden thing which is tied by two bulls. So here there is one triangle iron rod or an iron strip it is called, which is together called as plug. So using this they used to loosen up the soil. Coming to the next slide. Cultivator. What is cultivator? Nowadays plowing is done by the tractors, right? We know this. Now if we go to the villages or any urban areas, we see people plowing their farm by the tractors. So this is the revolution what has happened from ancient time to this or our time. So this is again the labor is the labor time, everything is solved by this tractor. The cultivator saves both labor and time. So coming to the next one, sowing. So now we have loosened up the soil is prepared, or the soil is now ready for the production of crop or the plant to grow. So next we have to do sowing, right? So how is the sowing doing? Sowing is very important part of the crop production. Obviously sowing is a very important part of the crop production. So the very good quality or the very fine quality of the seeds has to be sown into the soil so that we get a very good production. So how do we see that is it a good quality or the bad quality? Only by seeing we cannot know, right? So in ancient times they used to put these seeds into a water. So the seeds which flows on a water is of the bad quality. The seeds which go deep inside the water was of a good quality. So then those seeds has been taken out from the water and used for sowing. So these things has to be known again. So next, what is the traditional tool for sowing? So the traditional tool was for a sowing of a seed was used by this method. So we know this was used for plugging the soil or to loosen up the soil. So here the funnel was used down through 2 or 3 pipes having a sharp ends, the ends piercing into the soil, the place seeds there. So there used to be a funnel where the farmer puts the seeds one by one. So here it might be very sharp because the sharp piercing has to go deep inside the soil and the seed has to sow there. If the seed is sown on the surface of the ground, if the seed does not go deep inside the ground, the plant will not come out, obviously. So this was a very sharp thing which goes deep inside the soil so that the sowing of the seed goes deep inside the soil, so the plant grows out very nice. So now we have done. Next, seed drilling was used in nowadays. That was the ancient times. Those funnels was used for the sowing of seeds. So coming to the new days or the recent days, seed drills were used. Nowadays the seed drills is used for sowing, which helps the tractors the sows the seeds uniformly in equal distance. Obviously in ancient days the funnel thing what they were doing, no, in that the uniformity wasn't there. In this it is the seeds are sown uniformly, there is an equal distance. So there is one track where we know where the plants are growing and we will know where should we not walk on that plants before it grows, right? So this was used to sow the seed equidistantly, and which is again very useful and which will also saves time and labor, right? So coming to the next slide, adding manure and fertilizers. Again we have first loosened up the soil, we have seen a good quality of seeds, we have sown the seeds using a different methods. Now what is the thing which have to be done? The manure or the fertilizers should be added, right? So adding the manure or the fertilizers, the substances which is added to the soil in the form of nutrients for a healthy growth of plant, again called as manure or and fertilizers. So as human beings, plants are also living organisms, right? If we are not getting enough of vitamins or proteins, doctors suggest us to have some fruits more, vegetables more, or green leafy vegetables more. Same thing happens with the plant. If the plants are not growing out well or we need them to grow well, so we have to use manure or the fertilizers for a very well production or very well crop production, right? So adding the manure and fertilizers will make the crop production very well. So now we have to know, is manure and fertilizers the same or is it different? If it is different, how is it different? We have to know that. So we'll see what is the difference between the fertilizers as well as manure, right? Fertilizers is a man-made inorganic salt. What is a fertilizers? Fertilizers are nothing but it is an inorganic man-made salt, whereas manure is a natural substance obtained by decomposition of cattle or plants in animal waste, we can say. So fertilizers is prepared in factories. Fertilizers are usually prepared in factories, where manure can be prepared in fields, obviously, because we put, or the farmers put everything, the plants waste, animals waste, any peeling of vegetables, everything he puts in a field, which will be again converted into manure by decomposition. How does this decomposition happens again? The decomposition is happening by a bacteria, which is called as good bacteria, again, which is known as blue-green algae. So manure provides a lot of humus to the plant, where fertilizer does not provide any humus to the plant. Humus is nothing for us, how we have to be resistant to the diseases, right? The fertilizers will not do that. Again, the manure does that work. Having the vitamins tablet is different with having a fruits, right? Anything, the fruits are organic, and this is again a supplies which you are intaking, right? So there is a difference, which this is man-made purely and this is very natural, which you should intake and doesn't have any side effects. Okay, that is a major difference between fertilizers as well as manure. So coming to the next, what are the advantages of manure we should know? So the organic manure is considered better than the fertilizers. Obviously the medicine is better than the fruits. The fruits is better than the medicines, because we doesn't have any side effects having fruits. Same thing happens with the plants. The organic manure is considered to be better than the fertilizers. So it enhances the water holding capacity of the soil. The water holding capacity of the soil is very important. Again, that provides some nutrients, or the water or the plants will get the nutrients from the soil only. So the soil should obviously have more water holding capacity, right? So it makes the soil porous, due to which exchange of gases takes place. What is this exchange of gas? For the growth or a very good growth of the plant, the nitrogen supply has to be very well. So the nitrogen gas from the atmosphere to the roots of the plant has to be supplied. So this is called exchange of gas. So this is done only when the soil is porous. Okay, so this helps what? The manure helps for the soil to get porous, so that there will be an easy exchange of gases, where the nitrogen gas is converted into nitrogen compound, which supplies a very good energy or the nutrients to the plant. Okay, it increases the number of friendly microbes. It increases, for example, earthworm. It is again a very friendly organisms which has to be grown, which has to be there in the soil, right? So those will be increased by the manure. It improves the texture of the soil. Texture of the soil is very important again for the very well growth of the plant. Again, this manure ensures the texture of the soil is very good. So coming to the next slide. Now we have done everything. We have, the soil is ready, we have sown the seed, we have put some manure for it. What is the next step we have to do? The irrigation has to be done, right? So all the living beings need water to live. All the living organisms need water to live. It is a very main thing all the organisms or all the living organisms should have, right? Water is important for the proper growth and development. Water is absorbed by the plant roots. How will the plants get the water? Is it that we are pouring on the plants? No. What we are pouring goes into the soil, which is again goes deep down inside the root, which again provides the water to the entire plant, right? The leaves of the plant will not absorb the water. The stem of the plant will not absorb the water. The water is absorbed by the root of the plants, which is again transferred to the each and every part of the plant. Along with the water, minerals, fertilizers is also absorbed. Plants contain nearly 90% of water. Plants usually contain 90% of the water. The question might be asked, how much percent of the water does plant contain? It is a very basic question. So it contains 90% of the water. And how is the water intaken by the plants? It is by roots, right? Water is essential because of germination of the seeds does not take place under a dry place. Again, germination is a very important part for our plants. So this germination cannot be taken place in a dry condition. So irrigation is a very important part of the plants to grow. So source of the irrigation. What are the source of the irrigation? In ancient days, if we see, the source of the irrigation was wells, tubewells, ponds, lakes, rivers, dams and channels. It is a very important source of the irrigation. So now we'll see how are they pouring the water to the plants. Is it manually or is it with any mechanism they used to do? In ancient days, if you see, the water was available in the wells, lakes and channels is lifted by different method and taken into the field. The cattle or the human beings were used as a methods. By then, the laborers or the cattle used to take the water from the well to the field. So the methods are cheaper but less efficient. The cattle ugly or the laborers, they were less cost, right? But they were less efficient again. So the various traditional ways are mode and chain pump. This is mode, this is chain pump. Okay, so what is this? This is Dekli and Rawat. It is a lever system where the bull used to turn around. It was acting as a mechanical system over here. Okay, so this was happening and the rock is tied over here, which is again acts as a mechanism to pull out the water from the well, right? So the modern methods of irrigation. What was the modern methods of irrigation? Which is made to save less time and be more efficient, right? So sprinkler system. The system is more useful. What is a sprinkler system? The system is more efficient. The sprinkler system was more efficient. The perpendicular pipes were with the rotating nozzles on the top. They joined mainly pipelines as a regular interval. It was acting like a rain to the plants. The sprinkling is very useful for the loss, coffee plantation and several other crops, mainly for the coffee plantation. See, from the well there is a motor fixed and these are the perpendicular direction where the pipe grows and which is upwards. So it sprinkles every time. So at a regular interval of time. So this is very useful for the good production of plants. So coming to the next, drip system. We have seen drip irrigation is one of the efficiently used or one of the most used system in production of plants or from any farmers, and drip irrigation will save more water and which is also very good for the plants. So it is a system, the water falls drop by drop. Here the water is fallen drop by drop, so there is no waste of water, as well as directly it goes to the root. For example, can we drink one full big bottle of water once at a time? No. If we take one glass of water hour by hour, it's different, right? So it is the same. The drop by drop is very efficient. The water is not wasted at all. The boon in these regions where availability of the water is poor. This is majorly used where the water supply or the water is less. Or if it is a dry places, this drip irrigation is mostly used by each and every farmers. If the water is only less, rain is only less over that particular place, where will they supply more water? Obviously they will use this drip irrigation method, where which saves the water as well as the production of the crop will also be good, right? So coming to the next slide, the field, the others undesirable plants may grow naturally along with the main crop. I have told you what is weeds. It is unwanted crop which is grown equally with the main crop, then it is called as weed. Why will this weed make difference for the crop production? Yes, it will make a very major effect on the crop production. First thing, It is taking up the nutrients which main crop should have, right? So the removal of weed has to be done necessary since the weed competes with the plants for the water, nutrients and space and light. The sunlight directly has to be on the main crop which is happening. If this unwanted plant shreds off the main plant, the sunlight will not fall on the main crop. Again, it is affecting the crop. When it comes to nutrients, all the nutrients is taken by the weed. Again, the main production of crop is affected. Water, again, it is the same thing. These weed crops, what we have, it is taking up all the water essential which is needed for the main crop. Again, the main crop is affected. So, these are the effects of the weed which has to be cut down. Which is the good time to cut down this weed? Before it gives flowers. Before it blooms of the flowers, the weed has to be cut down. So, weeds are also controlled by using certain chemicals called as weedicides. So, we have some chemicals which can be control these weeds, which is known as weedicides. The best time to removal of weeds, it's before the produce flowers or fruits or the seeds. Next, now everything is ready. We have removed the weed, we have put the manure, we have done the irrigation. Now the crop is ready for the cut down, which is known as harvesting. Now the harvesting is done by the harvester using this sickle. This is known as sickle with the one wood with that iron thing which sure it will be very sharp. So this is known as sickle, where ancient times for the removal of crop they used to use a sickle. So the grain seeds need to be separated from the sheaf. For example, if it is a rice, the previous thing of a rice, the plant has to be removed the rice from the plant, right? So the unwanted thing in the plant is known as sheaf. The process is known as threshing. This is carried out by the help of the machine called as combine. So this is called as combine, where the removing of the crop is done at the same time with the sheaf is separated by the crop. Now after this, now what we have done? We have loosened up the soil is ready for the production, we have sown the seed, we have done the irrigation, we have added the manure, we have removed the weeds which is unwanted plants, we have done the harvesting. Last but not the least, what should we do? We have to store this crops or this production of large quantity of crops in a safer place or in a dry place, or the place which those crops has to be kept. That is also very important thing. Okay, so this is the entire thing which has to be cultivated, or the practices which has to be included in agriculture. So this was our first chapter of 8th standard, the NCERT syllabus, which has to be known by all the students out there. So for any other topics which has to be included, please let us know in the comment section so that we can bring up more and more classes and we'll discuss on this of any topic which is required for you guys. Will always be happy to explain or will be happy to discuss on that particular topic. So for more information, please visit our website, which is Deekshaa IAS, as well as YouTube channel for current affairs classes on daily basis and the paper analysis for PSI, PC as well as case is holding. So please go and check out those pages. We have also been in Instagram as well as Facebook. So we have been sharing some very important things over there. Please check out, follow us on Instagram as well as Facebook. Thank you.